everybody. Welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie, Mandy, but we're also here with author Daisy Jane. So, yay. Hi. Thank you.
Hello.
For being here.
Hi. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited.
This is my first on-camera podcast interview.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
we are so honored. Thank you.
Yeah. I could make a dirty joke there, but I'm not going to. Okay. Okay, so Mandy,
Okay.
what do you got?
So we'll just jump right in. And for people who may not be familiar with your books, what type of books do you write? Like specific tropes, that sort of thing?
I write contemporary romance, but I write contemporary romance with kink. I like to dabble in the taboo and forbidden. I know that those two things mean something different to every reader. For me, when I say taboo and forbidden, I mean usually pairings that are frowned upon, maybe a stepbrother, stepsister, mom's exes, relationships like that. Also, I dabble in I would say, less commonly written about kinks. I write a lot of lactation. I write a lot of femdom, things like that maybe aren't as widely out there as other things. And some of my common tropes, I write enemies to lovers, friends to lovers, brothers, best friends. Some of my classic, I just wrote, last year, I just wrote forced proximity, one bed, stuff like that. But yeah, I'm in a little corner, I would say, my taboo and forbidden contemporary kinky corner.
But it's a good kink. Like Mandy and I were talking about this morning when we were recording other things. I read The Wild One this month. Mandy had me do it was our Convincing My Bestie series, and I hadn't read any of her books, and she's like, you have to try this one. And it has the lactation kink, but it fits the couple. It's not like, oh my gosh, this is in your face. It's like, oh, what is this? Oh, I think I kind of like it, because it fits the relationship and the dynamic of the couple. And I think you do that so well in the books that I've read. You don't even realize that you're reading this kink, because it fits the story, it fits the dynamic of the characters. So, and it was friggin' hot.
Yeah. I was just at Reader's Take Denver, and Jason Clark, who co-narrates the book with me, was there. And the amount of women that asked him to sign like obscene things in the books. I think it was a little uncomfortable.
So they were having him sign like in the book.
They were like, can you draw something from the book? And he started to draw like a house, and they were like, can you draw a boob? And he was like, I'm not doing that. I have a color book too. And so people took the color book of like a big boob, and they were like, can you sign the boob? And he's like, I'll sign next to the boob. But
at least they weren't like, can you sign mine?
Yeah. He wore, the poor guy, he wore a leather jacket to the signing the first day. And the women were saying, oh, did you wear this because you're trying to dress like Bo? And
oh my gosh.
He said, no, I just wore this for fashion. But the Wild One is the first time I wrote that kink, and I've written it a handful of other times since then, but I try to write the same kink different every time. Mm-hmm. So it's not telling the same story over and over again. So I don't have a lactation kink book that is quite as sweet and fulfilling and romantic as the Wild One. I have one that's a little bit more like very visceral reaction, raw, more taboo in Raleigh 2. It's age gap, and it's two twin brothers who share one of their son's ex-wives, and that kink is in that a lot more graphic, maybe. I don't know.
Is there audio for that one yet?
It's actually going to be made this year with Gregory Salinas. So We're not there yet, but we're on the way. But all that is just to say that I try to write each kink, when I write it again, really different, to give a different experience.
Yeah.
And so, but the Wild One is like my sweet, cozy, like.
Yes.
Yes. I was what I needed. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mandy.
Oh, I was just going to say, I love how you weave the kink in, though, and you're just reading, and then all of a sudden it's happening, and you're like, oh, okay, and you just like go with it. It's not the whole plot, like it's just like an added bonus in there. I really love that.
I try to make the the kinks progress the plot in some capacity.
Mhm.
And like in the Wild One, there's discussion of evolving past it toward the end of the book. Like we no longer do this anymore, but you know, um, I think it's important, and I get a lot of emails about the lactation kink, a lot of emails, and I think it helps people who want to explore things in their personal life, uh, reading a book like that where it isn't like slapping you in the face. It's a natural progression. It happens the way you think it might happen in real life. Certainly, it's fiction, but I would say writing them that way helps people get into things. It makes it less intimidating. Sometimes I feel like if
Mhm.
you read a kink that it's like this book is about this kink, it's not it's entertaining certainly, but there's something more to it. And like I said, I get a lot of messages about the lactation kink and people that are interested in it or husbands are interested in it. And so ordinary people with extraordinary kinks, I hope is my angle. And I want to let people enjoy their lives and fantasize about their own lives, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and let's be honest, with lactation kink, most guys who have a wife who's having a baby are kind of like, what does that taste like? It's
Right.
not crazy outside of the realm of things that happen. It's not like it goes to that extent, but they're curious. I mean, it's just part of it.
Right. I mean, I would agree with that. Most men are very curious about it, and
Mhm.
some women are even into it. I
Yeah.
certainly know a lot of people now after writing these books that a lot of people are in it, interested in it, and you know, that's fine.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's fine, you know. And
Yep.
if you, I just also feel like you don't read it that often, and because it's not out there, I think sometimes when you get into it and you read a book like that and you like it, you kind of feel alone. Like
Hmm.
haven't read this other places. I'm kind of embarrassed to like this. And
Yeah.
so that's why I'm trying to write more of it. Not because I'm just like sitting at home thinking about it all the time or something like that, but
Yeah. Yeah.
just to try and normalize some of that stuff that I know people are into, you know?
Which is awesome. Yesterday in one of my reading groups, I think it was BJ Alpha's reading group, Lilith Vincent was in there, and she asked, in books with the breeding, what is like your favorite sub trope of that? And the majority of the people that answered had said lactation kink. Like it was
Yeah.
huge. Like I think it's fun to be in those groups because you realize you're not alone when you
Yeah.
have like in these taboo groups and dark romance groups. Like you see that you're not alone in these weird little things that you go, it's
Right.
yeah,
I mean, I certainly, I read it in 1% of You by Michelle Gross,
Mhm.
summer of
Yes.
Yes.
July 4th, 2021. I read that book, and if you guys have read it,
Yeah.
Yes.
okay, so then it's just a tiny bit
Mhm.
in there.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not part of the plot. It's not really, it's just a blip of lactation in that book.
Mhm.
And I started to think like, okay, everybody that I know that's reading this right now is liking this because of that. So then I went and looked at Michelle Gross's Amazon page, and I saw that at that time, 1% of You was like her heavy hitting book. I went and read all the reviews on Goodreads. I read all the reviews on Amazon, and the common link was that those small scenes were what had people really chomping at the bit. Granted, that book is adorable. I love that book so much. God bless
Yes.
America. I love that
Mhm.
book so much, but I definitely saw that people wanted more of that. And so that's when I started to think, what if I wrote that kink, but I really wrote it like in depth and had it be, a thing that is part of their growing relationship and dynamic.
Mhm.
And I got to tell you, it wasn't necessarily easy. Writing it was fine, but in trying to cast it for audio, I was turned down by a lot of people, and it made me feel like I was doing something wrong. To know that some of these people had said yes to roles where they play maybe an unaliver, or
Yeah.
maybe they, force themselves on the heroine, but then they end up being the hero of that book, and I'm like, they're saying yes to these books that, have things that I certainly deem darker,
Mhm.
but no to my book because of the lactation. And I definitely had a 6-month period where I questioned, what I was doing. And like, do people perceive me this way? Do people think I'm weird? Do people think I'm gross? But then I got to the point where I'm like, I have to like own this with my whole chest. I don't think it's weird. I don't think it's gross. And so no matter who says no, or no matter who says what about the book, I have to go into this accepting it, or else no reader is going to believe it. You know, if I'm in the back end second guessing myself. So I've gone with my whole chest into lactation and just, you know, known that people want this, and just no longer doubting myself has made a world of difference, because those first few people that said, got in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah.
you did get great narrators. I mean, you've got Teddy Hamilton on one book. This one was this Aiden Snow? Is that who you said it was?
Jason Clark.
Jason Clark. Like you've got great male narrators that work with you. So I think that worked, because like Mandy and I were talking this morning, and she's like, you know, she's got one with Teddy Hamilton, right? Going, one quick. It's actually already on my.
In fact, that was the first femdom that Teddy ever did, and it was refreshing for him. He went on a podcast, and I'm fortunate that this happened because he's Teddy and I'm just Daisy. But he went on a podcast and he talked about the book and doing the book and having it be kind of like a refreshing type of story to tell. It's a very different story. I keep writing femdoms. I mean, I'll be honest, they're not my top performing books, but I'm going to keep writing them and keep putting them into audio with great voices like Teddy, because I believe there will be a time where people realize that femdom isn't just corsets and whips and, you know, all the things that I think people think it is, and that people will like it. And he certainly did a wonderful job on that book. It's one of my favorite books. He did an amazing job. He was just incredible. I love it so much. And I love that he enjoyed doing the book too. As much as I knew that he would give a wonderful performance, there's a question in your mind after you pass your work to somebody and you're like, what are they thinking? Like, especially writing some of the stuff that I write, but to have him, you know, talk about the book and say that he enjoyed it and that it was a fun experience. It was nice. It was very nice to hear.
Yeah. And I've seen snippets of that where he's talked about that. I think it was on his Instagram. So what was the title of that one?
Stray.
Okay. Just for people who are watching.
I think it's his best performance ever.
I think Teddy's great no matter what he does. You should have seen me when we met him in Vegas. Like he came up to us and he's like, you guys look familiar. And I don't know if he just seen us somewhere or what the deal was. Yeah. But Mandy was like, there's Teddy, calm down. And he just was trying to keep me in check. I was really good. I was fine. I held it together. But I was like, he recognized us. Yeah. So I thought he was, I'm like, it's Teddy Hamilton. Are you kidding me? So
he's very nice. He's very nice. My the first time I met him, just lives in my cringy brain forever. My friend put him up to something and he went along with it, bless him. But she told him like, oh, my friend Daisy, she's a really big fan of yours. This was before he did Stray. And will you bump into her and pretend like you recognize her? He did it. Bless his soul. He did it. He bumped it. He was like, are you dating? And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to melt into a puddle on the floor right now. I'm so embarrassed.
I love it.
Yeah. He did.
He's great. He apparently, so he and Mandy have this weird thing in common where neither one of them can have their eyes open in pictures ever. And so we had to take the picture several times. I was happy with that. I was fine with that. But I'm like, at first it was like, well, Mandy's eyes are closed. Oh, nope, Teddy's eyes are closed. So now we have to do it again.
That's funny.
Girl taking her picture. She was great. She was really short too. So the picture's like pointing up.
Yeah.
Can you hold that up high? Really?
That's funny.
And I mentioned that to Teddy and he's like, hold it up higher. So yeah, he's a sweet.
Very nice person.
He's a really nice guy. Yeah. So,
all right. Do you have a favorite book you've written or a favorite character?
So Stray, the book I just mentioned, which is narrated with Teddy, that's one of my favorite books. But I think the book that I just wrote, I think everybody says their last release is their favorite, but All My Love is the book that I just released in mid-April. And I think it's my favorite book right now because it gives off a lot of my teenage girl energy that I had harbored inside me when you're a teenager and you have all those crazy, very passionate, emotional, hormonal thoughts, I bottled that up and put that in this book. And watching other people say, oh my gosh, I was like that at that age, or I did that at that age. It's nice to know that your teenage craziness, you're not alone in it.
Yeah. Well, we just, I don't know if you want to tell her, Mandy, we just filmed our top 5 for the month of, what month are we in? April. It's April. Wow. Thank God it's April. Okay. Whew. But these are our top 5. We did our monthly wrap up. And Mandy was talking about yours, and she can tell you where it's at on the list. But that's when she was talking about that. I was like, didn't we do that kind of stuff in high school? Like that's exactly what it is. But every time she talks about that book, that's what I think. So
totally. And like when I was in high school, I'm like I said, I'm 38. So the idea that you could Google something or, you know, go to the Wayback Machine, like that wasn't. We were doing old school stalking back then, baby. Like
we were in the car,
driving by their house.
Okay, yes,
all that, just calling with your number blocked, just to hope that they answer.
Star
Oh, it's his mom.
Star 69ing everything, and his mom answered.
Yeah,
you know. Yeah,
totally. So writing that book, I captured as much of that as possible. And I really, really love the old movie, The Crush, with Alicia Silverstone.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I love it. I thought about that movie when I wrote Where Violets Bloom, which is a male stalker.
Yes.
And I thought about it again when I wrote this, because that energy where she's like, I love you, Nick, and you love me. It's just so unhinged and so good. But I wanted to make, obviously, a likable heroine. So I couldn't have her quite that level.
Yes. Yeah. I just read Where Violets Bloom. Oh, sorry, Mandy. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, Dolly is very unhinged, but you are like, she justifies everything that she's doing. And I found myself just like, yes, of course.
Yeah.
And
it's acceptable.
Like in junior high, I joined the track team because we practiced with the high school track team. And I thought some of the seniors when I was in 7th grade were very good looking. Mm-hmm. And one of my friends like he had drank a soda and threw it in the garbage, and she took the can out and it sat on my shelf for like years. School, so I think we all have a little Dolly in us.
So then you get it.
I remember that, and Mandy and I didn't even know each other in middle school. We met each other as sophomores in high school and became friends as juniors. I know this story because I've heard. I can tell you the guy's name. I won't say it because we're live, or recording. But I can tell you, I never met the kid. We all lived in the same town. I don't even know the kid, but I know who he is. His name. I can just hear it in my head in her voice over and over again.
I did something like that too. I was just in love with this guy. He was a year older than me. The saddest thing is that he was completely obsessed with my best friend, and he gave me a stick of gum at a football game, and I put that stick of gum in a shoebox and had it for like 6 years. Like until I moved out of my parents' house, I had that stick of gum. So Dolly is just in me.
Yes. Yeah, I have similar. We don't talk about him. The guys that I like he was 5 years older. And we were in high school, and so
which would be okay now.
I known him my whole life. We talked all the time. Like that was a lifelong crush, but I dodged a bullet with that one, thank God. Okay, so but I did this week. I read Where Violets Bloom, and I called Mandy because she read it a long time ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can relate so much to the female character, because if I was in that situation, I'd be like, okay, sure, I'll go. Yeah, let's start dating.
Sure. How convenient that I hate where I live, but you want me to live with you. It's perfect.
It's perfect. And you know what? You really like me. Like, you did all this because you really like me. Like, I don't even have to put forth any effort into this relationship. It's done.
It's all waiting for me, wrapped up nice with the bow on it.
Yes, it's a little crazy, but we can deal with that.
Yeah.
He's hot. It makes up for the crazy.
That's right. You know, that book all started because during the pandemic, one of my daughters was going to a separate school than our normal school. And so it was net new people that I was seeing there at the school. And there was this crossing guard, and he had glasses and a beard, and he I don't know if he didn't want to be a crossing guard or what his story was, but I was waiting to cross the street one day, and the way that he talked to me was just, it gave me, I was like, if you're if you're the person that this guy likes, I'm sure it feels very special, because he clearly hates everybody else. He was like, are you going to get across the street already? Like, he just talked to me like horseshit. And I was like, I'm into this. I'm into this in a way I shouldn't be. And so that's where I was like, maybe I'll have a hero that's kind of a jerk to everybody but his girl. And so that kind of started from there.
Mm-hmm. I love it. That's awesome. I would have been the same way. Like, am I into this? Why am I in?
Do I like this? All
Because
right.
when I first started dating my husband, he would tease me all the time and like torture me. And he said it was our second date. He's like, "Is this how it's going to be?" And I'm like, "Yeah." 18 years later, it's still happening, and I'm like, "You can stop now. I mean, I don't need the mean, okay?
Yeah.
I can't tell if you're serious or not.
Yeah.
It's like an issue."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Mandy?
I was
Something
going to
about
ask if Dolly would be your favorite character then, or if there's a different character that would be your favorite.
I think Dolly's my favorite. Dolly is my favorite. I feel like we collectively understand Dolly so well as women because Dolly is just a piece of all of us at some point. So I think she's my favorite. I'm excited for the next 2 books, but I do think Dolly will remain my favorite because that energy is kind of immortalized in Dolly. That young, youthful, passionate, everything means so damn much at all times. Everything's such a big deal. I like that's Dolly.
I have teenage daughters. I see that.
Yeah.
One of them has her first real boyfriend. I see it. He's a good kid.
That's good.
There's a lot of rules, but yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
My daughters are 8 and 10, so I have a while.
I have 14, one will be 17 this next week, and then I have an 18-year-old son.
Oh.
So, yeah.
You're in those years.
In those years. We love them. We enjoy it. But yeah, and there's a heartbreak every other week. So.
I know. I remember.
To get over it like that. It's just crazy. On to the next. So, yep. All right. What's the next question you got me, Andy?
Okay, so are you able to share what you're currently working on or any upcoming projects?
So right now I'm working on 3 different things. I have a book that I wrote I don't know, 6 to 8 months ago under a separate pen name that is launching this summer. So that's in the reread, get it together, figure out before it goes to the editor phase right now. And I'm also part of a DNF. It's called the DNF series with a bunch of other girls. I don't know how much is announced, but we are releasing a series of novellas, and the common theme between those novellas is the DNF bookstore in Salem, Massachusetts. It's fictional, where when you DNF a book, you come to the bookstore and you give it to the bookstore and find something else. So everybody's DNF gets recycled. The common link is that, but the theme of the novellas is cringe. So we're all trying to write a very cringy novella, and my novella is of course called Milky. So stay tuned for that. It is a MFV. It is a male female vacuum, and it is coming out this summer. And writing it is just absolutely unhinged. It's supposed to be cringe, and even writing it, I'm just like, okay, I've got a vacuum named Hoover, and this is something I'm doing. It's fine. Keep it together. So I'm writing.
My husband, you can't see him. He is on the other side of this camera folding laundry, and the look on his face.
Because the thing was, so when we all picked our our respective kinks and our titles and our images for our covers, they were kind of like, you're going to want to do the one with the bra, right? You want to do the lactation book, right? And I was like, I will. But the thing is, I don't want to make lactation a joke. So in order to make it cringy and have it not go against everything I've written in every other book, I have to have some element to make it silly. And that's where the Herbert Hoover vacuum comes in. So, but outside of that, I am working on book 2 in the Twisted Sister series. So Ivy's book is partially outlined. I need to finish outlining it I don't know, 3 weeks ago, and then get to writing that so that I can have that out in maybe June or July.
Okay.
Oh, wow. You have a pretty fast turnaround then.
Yeah, this is actually my slowest year so far, only because I have so much travel, but I typically will write a book I will outline it and do my writing sprints and do all that and have the book done within like a month and a half. And then it goes to editing and all that stuff and takes another month and a half. So that's my typical indie schedule. That's kind of what's expected from the indie is high output, but I'm slowing down a little bit. After Denver, I also got my website live right before Denver and made 3 audiobooks right before Denver. And so I'm just slowing down just to take a breath a little bit and moving a little bit slower.
Well, and then you do your own audio. You do the female narration for your book. So that adds another level. That's something else.
Right. And it's crazy because, you know, I wrote the characters and I know all the nuance and stuff, but it's super challenging for me to narrate it the way that I want it to come out. And I don't hit it every time. I'm certainly not a professional, but you know, when I did Where Violets Bloom, I read the book out loud 30 times before I recorded it. It was crazy how much more difficult it became without the director there. I paid to have a director kind of guide me through as I was performing, and I took, you know, the voice lessons and the acting lessons and all that. But when it's comes time to do it, and you know it's what everyone's going to hear, you know, you're just like, even though I wrote it, I just want to get it right. And so it does take a little time, especially when I went to go record the wild one. It had been since I wrote it, like I hadn't read it again. And so some of the stuff, and you know, I hadn't written lactation in a few books. And so when that idea kind of sits and then you're reading the wild one, I mean, I'm in the recording booth and I'm going, there's a lot of lactation in this. He's latching right now. So I stopped a little bit. I was like, okay, get back in the mindset of this book. But yeah, I do record them myself, but it doesn't, I would say it doesn't make anything easier. I'm very in my head too. I'm one of those people that I'm like, is this right? Is this right? Is this right?
Well, I think you do a great job narrating.
Thank you.
I loved in The Only One where she is listening to her audiobook and you actually have some of that on there, and it's like always like the really intense like sex scenes that are being played. It made me laugh so hard because it was so relatable.
Yeah, and I haven't read that one yet. I really want to, but when we heard, like when Bo was talking about her in his book in the wild one, I was like, I need to listen to this book because this girl sounds like all of us.
Yeah, she's spicy audiobook girly through and through. In fact, the book that I have Delane listening to in her book is supposed to be Stray. So
Oh,
because it's a femdom and she's into femdom, and the only one is the softest femdom I've ever written. I've written a very gentle femdom in my other series, but just to have dual virgins kind of figuring things out together, there's nothing more gentle than that, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I love that she's giving him directions and telling him what to do based on what she's listened to in audiobooks.
Right,
so she's like,
right.
I kind of am an expert.
Right. And of course, the hook in that book is that when he finds out, oh, you learned all this from books, you're not actually like super experienced, there's a moment of feeling a little duped. But I think, I don't know, it's so relatable to me to learn about stuff from books. I've learned about so many things from romance books, so many.
Yeah, there's so many times when I pause a book and I look at my husband and go, let me tell you what I just
right?
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
totally.
And then I get the crazy look or the look. So, you know.
I know the look.
You get the look. Yeah, there's a couple looks. So, yeah.
So if somebody is new to reading your books, where would you recommend they start?
Oh man, I think starting with the Wrench King series or Men of Paradise is good. It encapsulates my writing style pretty well. Men of Paradise is kind of more a little bit breaking the fourth wall, a little bit more playful. Wrench Kings is a little more refined, but overall, those series really touch on basically what I do in every series. Every series has a femdom book, every series has an alpha male, and every series has like a lost soul. And so those two really, really capture, while also being, you know, more widely, the tropes in those books speak to wider audiences than some of my other series. So I would start there. Or, you know, The Man I Know is a married couple romance. There's no third act breakup. It's all just happy and kinky. So maybe that. And everything is in KU.
Okay.
One of my favorites, it was my first book by you that I absolutely love, is The Other Brother.
Yes, it is. The Other Brother is my lowest spice book. I had the idea for that in it, and it was just one of those books that I'm like, I just need to sit down and write this. It happened while I was building my recording studio. So of course Cordelia in the book has a recording studio built for her. She becomes a narrator in that book. So obviously that was what was going on in my life at the time. But I like that book because it is low spice, and I feel like it's important to have a few books that speak to wider audiences in my catalog, and that one certainly does that. My PA and her mom buddy read that together even.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always am looking for age gap, and I stumbled upon it and I was like, oh, this is a little different. I like this. And oh, I loved it. And then I kind of spiraled down with your books from there, going through
Daisy
your
hole.
backlist. Yes.
Yeah. That's an old one. That's a couple years old. I don't really bring that with me, but I don't have that unpublished yet because people still read it. So
yeah, I have it on my Kindle.
Oh, don't unpublish it. It's so good.
You know what I think I need to do? I think it needs a new cover. That cover model that I used is just like a deposit photos model. And he ended up being on like everything for a year. So now I'm just kind of sick of his face. So I got to change it.
Yeah, covers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this question, I don't know if it's just, how do you come up with your ideas? So if that's too personal, that's fine, but
It's not too personal. Everything comes from something, definitely. In terms of kinks, for me, I have to have the couple first. I have to think of who the couple's going to be and then what makes sense for them. Like in book 2 of the Wrench King series, I had Atticus, who is, this greasy, gruff mechanic. And then I had Goldie, who's this over the top, high maintenance type of character. And in knowing who those base characters were going to be, I can eliminate a lot of things that don't feel natural for them. She doesn't want to have children. So, immediately I'm not going to be working towards a baby HEA. I'm working towards something different. And so in that, I lay out my series all at once. So I never want to have the same thing in a book in the series because I want everything to feel very different. And so I'm like, we're doing lactation in this book. We're doing breeding in this book. Then we're going to do femdom in the third book. So that leaves something different for book 2. So in figuring out what kind of kinks made sense, that's kind of where I was like, well, what would be something that might shock people, but would be normal for a male that is this filthy, gruff. And my husband plays into that a little bit because it does not matter what I have been doing. If I've been working out or whatever, my husband's like, let's do it. Let's absolutely do it right now. I don't care if you're sweaty. It doesn't matter. And so channeling that into the character of him, using food and eating the food after he uses it on her and stuff is just kind of, everything comes from somewhere a little bit. But like I said, with kinks, like, the lactation and stuff, it took me reading that to know that I really wanted to explore that and that a lot of people wanted that to be explored as well.
Yeah.
Cucumbers and toothbrushes have very different meanings now.
Kitchen things. Yeah. I spoke about With Force on the small town panel that I was on in Denver, and a lot of people came up to the table after and purchased it. And I just said, you'll never look at a kitchen sink the same. Good luck. Yeah. And the other thing is trying to use everyday objects so that the fantasy doesn't feel so far away. Like if you're getting dunked in the kitchen sink, you can get dunked in the kitchen sink. You don't have to be married to a millionaire sex god for that to happen. Those are all things that are accessible to you. And that's the beauty of writing small town, is writing kinks that are, livable.
Yeah. Yeah. Not everybody has to have a dungeon.
Right. Not everybody has to be a millionaire with a kinky sex dungeon and a private jet. You can get it good from your husband in your small town. You just need to have a cucumber. Okay.
That was pretty wild.
Yeah. I got a kick out of writing that in real life. If that ever happened, I would probably be mortified. I would slap the cucumber out of his hand, but for books, the things we do for books.
Yes. Not always your real life experience.
No.
So do you have any favorite authors or favorite books?
Oh my gosh. One of my all-time favorite authors is Carrie Ann Cole. I love Carrie Ann Cole so much. I love her as a person. I love everything she's ever written. I have a lot of her special editions. In the last few years, somehow managed to make myself her friend. And I don't know how it happened, but I still am in disbelief that I get to talk to her, and she's so great. I love her books. I think Torn was one of the first books that I read in the romance genre when I was getting back into reading it. And I don't know if it's just because maybe it's like one of your first or what, but I just love that book so much. And I also really, really love Jennifer Hartman. I just finished Older 2 nights ago.
Oh, I read that too.
Yeah, I met her in Denver, and I just said, I don't know how every single thing you write is so good. Everything is so good, whether, no matter the trope, it's just everything is so beautifully written. It's just never anything but a 5-star. And I also really love Kennedy Ryan. I'm going to meet her this year at a signing, so I'm already nervous, but I'm probably going to make a fool of myself. But I love her stuff so much. Real is one of my favorite books. And, I love a lot of authors, but I would say those are my top 3 that I reread, buy special editions of, follow. I'm active in their groups. I'm just like fangirling hard over those 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All My Love was my top read for April, and my second top read was Older by Jennifer Hartman.
Oh my gosh.
We'll send you the video when it comes out.
Yeah, that's so flattering. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Older was one of my top reads for April too. I didn't read that much in April. I started the Pam book, but I couldn't finish. But Older is definitely one of my top reads. We buddy read it in my Discord server. So we pick a book every month in my Discord server. It has to be in KU so that everybody can read it. And then we buddy read it and we talk about it. And before I had read it, I saw all the grayed out, because we hide our spoilers. I saw all the gray, and I'm like, I gotta read this book. I need to know what people are saying. But yeah, it was so good. So good.
Which event are you going to where you're going to see Kennedy Ryan?
I'm going to Romance Con in Wisconsin, it's in Milwaukee. I think it's in September. They invited me, and then they were like posting that Sierra Simone was going and Kennedy Ryan was going, and I'm like, do they know it's just me? Like, do they think I'm somebody else? Because Kennedy Ryan and Sierra Simone are going to this. But oh my gosh, I'm so excited to meet her. I'm just trying to just be cool. It's fine. It's no big deal.
Trying to keep it together.
Yeah, it's fine. That's cool. Hey, how are you?
Yeah. Fangirling here.
Yeah, my inner Dolly is gonna come out, and I'm gonna be like, here's an illustrated book. I love you. I saw you in the hall, but you didn't see me.
Well, as long as you're not sneaking into anybody's rooms and like smelling their clothes, I think it'll be okay.
Okay.
As long as I don't tell anybody that I did that.
True.
Yeah.
I love how her sister just looks out for her as like the lookout in the morning. Like, they don't think it's weird. They just
No,
help her
they're
out.
totally down with the unhingedness. I think every good unhinged teenage girl needs that energy matched in her best friend. And since they're in a small town and they're isolated, I went with the sisters route. Also, I wanted to have a series that focuses on the heroines instead of the heroes, because Wrench Kings follows 3 mechanics and Men of Paradise follows 3 male bros from the gym. And so I'm like, let's have a series that follows sisters and have their bond be the thing that, is usually the men bonding in the other books. Let's have them have a stellar bond. So they're supportive of each other's crazy through and through.
We support each other's crazy.
Right.
Now we use it as like, can you know what you did when we were young kind of a thing. But back then we supported each other's crazy.
Absolutely. And
we
so
were like in it for each other.
Absolutely. You need that. You need that.
Yeah. Now she teases me about it, but or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what are friends for?
Exactly. If they don't help you, if they're not your lookout while you're smelling some guy's dirty laundry after you broke into his house, what are they even good for?
You would have done that for me, right, Mandy?
I don't know.
Well, now you're too old to say yes or no to it. You would have done it. You had that soda can in your room for so dang long. Come on.
I would have honked the horn and been out of there.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you would
Oh, man.
hate it for us.
Oh my gosh.
Fine.
So one of our questions is if we will see you at any signings, and I think we are going to see you at Vegas.
Yeah, I'm going to be at Wanderlust in Texas. I'm going to be at Romance Con in Milwaukee. I'm going to be at Love and Books in Las Vegas. And then the following year, I'm trying to cap it there for this year. And then the following year, I know for sure I'm going to be in Phoenix for Wild and
We will
Windy.
too.
Yeah, so I'll be
Yes.
there too. And everything else, I'm not sure. I just got invited to a few overseas signings, but I just feel very tired right now. The idea of doing something overseas feels huge right now. So I'm sticking to those events for right now.
Yeah, we have people who want us to come overseas, other authors who want us to come to like UK or Australia, and we want to so bad. It's just it's a lot. So I can imagine as an author, then you have like we just have to get ourselves there and get our books home. You have to get books there, and you have to get all that, like all your stuff, not just that, your setup, everything.
Right. And you know, I usually don't travel without my husband if I don't have to. I like to just turn my brain off and be with him. But you know, overseas would require so much extra. And after the fiasco at the last signing with just getting my books back home and all that, I'm fatigued right now. I mean, I would love to go. I would. I mean, there's so many author friends I have that are over there, but
yeah, I know. Well, and even like with us, when we travel, it's just the two of us because typically we're in the States and this is our girl time. But if we're to travel overseas, I think the husbands would want to come. And then it's a whole who's with the kids. That's just an added. It's a lot. So we have plans. We want to. We'll see. They're further out.
I feel you because I brought my husband and my kids to Denver. Like we stayed with, we stayed together as a family. My husband came down a few times just to help minimally. And, but it's a lot to drag everybody around that too. So, and thinking about what they're going to do while you're working and stuff. So I'm just not sure. I like all the events I have planned for the next, 9 months to a year. So.
So do you have any books that you're going to do special editions for at the signings?
I do. I have, this is my first time ever. I am using a cover designer. She did a few of Sarah Blue's covers. She's doing special editions in time for Vegas. They're going to be paperbacks of Twisted Sisters. So All My Love, Yours Truly, and Eternally Devoted will all have complete special editions in time for Vegas. That's the first place that they're going to be sold is Vegas. And then I'll bring them to Phoenix with me. I gave her creative control. She's going to do the whole thing herself. So I am so excited. It's like I said, it's my first time ever not making the covers myself. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So when will that pre-order be up? I need to write that.
August. August. Yeah.
We have several events this year. And so I'm constantly checking to see pre-orders, and Vegas feels so far out to me right now. I think I have like one book right now pre-ordered because it's too.
I know. And but then you'll go to sleep and one day it'll be like a month away.
It'll be here. Yeah.
Totally. Totally.
That is if we survive our road trip to Canada and back. For the Rockies event, we're driving. So.
Oh, you are? Well, like I said, I just did a 7,000-mile road trip with 2 kids and my husband, and the car being completely full, and it was a incredible time. It was wonderful. We had a great time. We never really got sick of being in the car. There was just so much to see, and we made little stops along the way to see things. Like on the way home, we stopped at the Salt Flats in Utah. We went to Salt Lake, like just little stops to break it up, to make it feel like a vacation within the tedious parts of it.
Yeah, Alberta is, or where we're going. Alberta, isn't that where we're going? I don't know. I'm driving. Just put the GPS. Just get it going. It's 10 hours from my house. So right now that's the plan. We'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, 10 hours. You guys got it.
We're gonna go through Banff. We're gonna stop in Banff. We're gonna, it'll be good.
Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be really fun.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yes.
Your question.
We both have very small bladders, so we might get there on time. We might not. I don't know.
Well, we on our trip we would stop every hour and a half because my 8-year-old was like, I cannot hold it one, and I'm like, have you even drank anything?
Like, where is this coming from?
She's like, and then I would take her in and just be a drop, and I'm like,
yeah.
So we stopped all the time to use the restroom, but it was fun.
Yeah.
You guys will have a good time. That's fun. Taking a road trip with your best friend, that's a romance novel right there.
That is the hope. What we were talking about with Pam is around that time I should have the beta copy because it has to be out by August. It like has to do that. Hopefully I've read it by then, but if not, Mandy will be reading it to me as I drive. So and making
that would make
I
a
get
good
to be a
vlog.
narrator.
Yeah, and then I'll be like, "Can you do the voices?" Oh, but then when you're beta reading, you have to do corrections. So I'll be like, "You need to highlight that and send this to Pam right away." This message.
That would be a nightmare.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. Hopefully I'll have it before then. But otherwise we'll be listening to a lot of audiobooks. So yeah. Okay, what else you got there, Mandy?
All right. Well, before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share or talk about?
Oh, well, right now I have, if you guys have not heard, I have my Wrench King series just came out on audio. They're in duet. So duet's pretty cool. It's a completely different experience than dual. And those are exclusively on Audible right now. You can't get them anywhere else. Before I pull them off of audio or Audible, I would like everyone to use their time. Some people only listen on Audible, and so I learned that with my last series. So if you want to check it out, they're still on Audible right now. Otherwise, I'll be taking them wide here within the next 6 months. That's everything else I have on audio is wide. It's on all platforms.
And when I listened to the first one, that I just totally blanked on the name of the first book in that series.
One.
Thank you, the wild one. I listened to the audio. The audio was great.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, we had a great experience making it. I listened to it back and I was like, holy crap, this is good. Jason
was good.
Jason was incredible. I was just blown away I was just blown away. It's always like that though. When I get the audio back and I listen to it by a professional actor, I'm like, holy crap, this is so good.
Yeah, it was good. And you listened to the audio for the third one, right, Mandy? Or did you draw?
Yes, the only one.
The only one.
To the audio for that.
With Aaron Shedlock, yeah.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah. See, you got great narrators, male narrators with you there. There's some good.
Aaron was really perfect for that character.
Yeah, I like his stuff.
Yeah, he's great.
Okay, so what's the best way for readers to connect with you?
So if you want to hang out and get to know me, I'm not super interesting, but I do have a Discord server, and it's become definitely a place for friends. We prune it to only active members. So if you're in there, you've become a friend. We're all friendly in there. We talk about everything: books, food, coffee, life, exercise, sex, relationships, trauma, you name it, it's in there. My Discord server is called Daisy's Basement. It's in my link tree, which is on like my Instagram and things like that. But if you don't want to become friendly and you just want to know about books, the best place to always get a response from me is on Instagram, because I have somebody who runs that account and will let me know or message back if she can. So those are the two best places. Email, like right now, my email is not even working. I don't know what's going on. I just got back from Denver. I have COVID. I'm trying to keep it together. But yeah, Discord is where I've become friends with a lot of cool people.
Okay. That's cool. Awesome. I think you're the first author that we've interviewed that said that they have a Discord server. I mean, I know authors do, but you're the first one that said that that's it. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's really kind of become its own little community, you know, and on its own, and people in there are friends, and we plan to meet up and hang out, and it's really great. I love it so much. I'm so lucky that I have people that want to be there and hang out.
Yeah, that's cool.
I need to go join that. I wrote it down.
It's fun. It's fun. I even have we have a safe buy sell trade thread in there. There's literally something for everybody in there, and everybody is so supportive and friendly and nice. And yeah, it's great. It's my favorite place to be. It's my safe corner of the internet where nobody's going to say anything, because it also, no bullying, no bad talking anybody, or no bad talking authors, any of that. So it's nice. It's just a little cozy nice corner. Yeah,
that's sweet. I love that for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you'll be in there as soon as we get off of here.
Please do. Please come join. It's so much fun.
Yeah. All right, guys. That's it. Daisy, thank you so much for being here and letting us spend some time with you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I feel way cooler than I actually am being on here right now.
That's good, because because you make us feel cool. So
Yes.
great.
Oh, it's just a little pep. Well, it's like a hug, a warm hug.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. So
I cannot wait to meet you in person. So looking
I
forward to
can't
that in
wait to.
October.
I
Yeah.
cannot wait to. It'll be here before we know it. I cannot wait.
I know. Another year. That's just Christmas, just before Christmas. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a great time there last year, so we'll have a good time. We just can't wait to see you.
I can't wait. We'll have to do something cool. We'll have to think of a cool TikTok or something to film together.
Oh,
And
I love it.
hang
Yes.
out, get a drink, do something cool. Yeah, we'll have to make it a priority. I can't wait to
And
meet you guys. Thank you
think
so
we're
much for
staying-
having me on here too.
I think we're staying an extra day this time, aren't we, Mandy? So we have time to do that stuff.
I think we're coming in earlier.
Oh, we're coming in earlier, but we'll figure it
I'm
out.
still going home on Sunday, I think.
Okay.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I
Mandy,
have no-
this
My
stuff,
husband knows. I keep it with him. I don't remember anything. I'm still coming off the Denver trauma. So but I'm excited. I'm really excited for Vegas. I cannot wait. That's the one I'm looking forward to, I think, the most.
Yeah. It's going to
It'll
be
be fun.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people, a lot of great people.
Yes.
And Mandy's our planner, obviously. She plans everything. I just show up. So
I relate.
All right.
Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
All right, guys. Thanks again. We'll see you in the next video.
Bye.